Hey everyone, it's Nick here at Montgomery Financial Services with a quick coaching class for you. It's no surprise that we've recently been hearing the word recession thrown around quite a bit in regards to the current state of our economy. Even before the Russian and Ukrainian conflict, high inflation and economic fallout from the pandemic caused many to have concern that a risk of a recession was growing. You see, when a recession hits, much more is at stake than stock market shares. During the Great Recession from December of 2007 to June of 2009, not only did Americans lose $19.2 trillion in net worth, but unemployment rates doubled to 10% and over 8.7 million jobs were lost. When the COVID recession began in late February of 2020, the U.S. economy significantly shrank before it quickly rebounded. However, most of the damage had already been done, and businesses reduced their workforce or shut their doors, and millions of employees received layoff notices. Now, I understand that when economists start pointing to signs of a recession, it's natural to feel anxious. Retirees on a fixed income or those getting ready to retire may be feeling especially vulnerable. But here's the good news. While our economy is largely unpredictable, your retirement income plan does not have to be. I believe that by getting a clear picture of where your finances stand and creating a holistic plan that takes worst-case scenarios into account, you can obtain financial peace of mind and feel confident about retirement, even in a recession. So in today's coaching class, I want to take a look at 3 areas to address to help ensure that your plan can weather a drop in the market. Area number 1, your expenses. Whether we're in a prosperous bull market or a declining bear market, the list of things to prepare for in retirement is lengthy. Rising healthcare costs, end-of-life expenses, and generally, living a longer life often top this list. You want to factor in inflation into your retirement plan in case that the cost of living of everyday items, travel, and other expenses continue to rise. Remember, inflation erodes the value of savings that are held primarily in cash assets, and it will continue to do so after you retire. Recently, higher costs of everyday items, or everything from gasoline to agriculture products, has trickled down to consumers, helping push inflation numbers to a 40-year high. The financial repercussions from high inflation, political unrest, and the COVID-19 pandemic will continue to evolve, heightening concerns for Americans' future economic well-being. And what if you have not retired yet? Recessions can often lead to job cuts. If you had to stop working earlier than planned, would you be in a tight spot? It may be a good time to review your current and future expenses right now. To do so, or to do this, if you haven't done so in a while, calculate what you've spent over the last month or few months on various expenses such as household bills, like your mortgage or rent, groceries, cable, internet, and other utilities, as well as various healthcare costs that you may have. Which is really important because, speaking of healthcare, based on a recent study, a 65-year-old couple retiring in 2021 can anticipate spending on average $300,000 in healthcare and medical expenses throughout their retirement. And this is excluding any kind of long-term care cost. That would be approximately $1,000 a month over a 25-year period in retirement, or $1,250 a month over a 20-year period. You may also wish to factor in healthcare expenses that could arise at the end of your retirement years, and I would suggest overall adding an amount that you feel reflects how much you can anticipate spending per month on healthcare to your budget. However, the expenses that we've mentioned thus far don't really account for the things that you may want to do in retirement, things like traveling, hobbies, family visits. These things not only make life more fulfilling, but research also shows that participating in these activities that you enjoy is actually good for your health. So you should consider that these expenses reflect into your budget as well. Take your dreams into account. Here at Montgomery Financial, we call the first portion of our expenses the minimum dignity expenses. These are going to be, again, the things you need: your mortgage, utilities, food, healthcare costs, things that you can't live without. But the second set are wants, our goals, our dreams, traveling, certain purchases, things like that, that's discretionary spending. And I suggest that you separate both of these categories of expenses, discretionary spending and your minimum dignity expenses, so that you can gain a better understanding of your expenses as a whole. You can get a copy of our expense tracking sheet that we give to all of our clients down below. That's linked down below, and I'd highly recommend doing this fun activity, if you will, and especially if you're married, do this together. This is a great exercise to do with your spouse, just to get a better idea of what you're spending. Area number 2 to review, your assets. So exactly where does your nest egg sit? If you're like many other folks, your assets are spread out in vehicles like 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, mutual funds, and maybe various stock holdings. Now, all these assets that I've listed here are tied to the market. So during a recession, they could significantly decrease in value. On average, the stock market loses 13.7% during a market correction and 32.5% in a bear market. But of course, keep in mind that it is unlikely that all of your assets are invested in equity type holdings. Most everyone has fixed income in their portfolios, which acts as kind of a buffer to severe volatility. But it may not be a bad time to take inventory of your assets to gain a better understanding of how your overall portfolio is positioned. After you've done so, consider the expenses you calculated in section 1. Would you have enough income to meet your expenses if you lost your job? Could you support your lifestyle if you and your spouse live to age 90 or 80 or beyond? And speaking of longevity, according to the Social Security Administration, the average 65-year-old man can expect to live to age 84, while the average 65-year-old lady can expect to live till age 86 and a half, and 1 in 3 65-year-olds will live to at least age 90. 1 in 7 is going to live till age 95. Now, those were a lot of statistics, but you know that we here at Montgomery Financial plan conservatively for our clients, meaning that we, just to be safe, of course, plan on all of our clients, our gentlemen, living out to age 90, and if you're a lady, age 95, unless, of course, you have some sort of health history, family health history, or underlying condition, or some things like that. But all in all, given our current market climate, I would urge you to review your portfolio and how it's structured, specifically how your funds are allocated in each asset class. You of course already know that our firm's investment philosophy is centered around the more passive approach of asset class investing, meaning that we do not put all of our eggs in one basket, and we diversify our investments across many different holdings to decrease the risk of being overexposed in one particular area. If you'd like to review your current portfolio and your asset class holdings, please do not hesitate to reach out and schedule a strategy meeting with one of our team members here. And speaking of asset and portfolio allocation, let's pair this topic off with the next area to review, which is your risk tolerance. So area number 3, evaluating and understanding your risk tolerance. Everyone's heard the saying, there's no free lunch, right? While investing in the market is a risk, it is an effective way to grow your assets, particularly for pre-retirees who got a late start in saving for their retirement maybe, or folks who are already in retirement. But how much of your life savings should be invested in the market? I always tell our clients that there are 3 things to consider when investing in the market or choosing an investment vehicle. And that would be your goals. What's your goal with the money? What is your time horizon with those assets? How long do you need them to last? And then most importantly, what is your risk tolerance? Calculating your risk tolerance, or the degree of variability in investment returns you are willing to withstand, can help you decide how to invest and how much of your assets can be allocated towards riskier holdings that are in the market versus holdings that will be traditionally more safe, such as fixed income. Now, many factors go into determining your risk tolerance, and here at Montgomery Financial, we have access to tools that can pinpoint the exact amount of risk that is appropriate for you. Because traditionally, investors have used words like conservative or moderate or aggressive to describe their risk tolerance, and the issue with these words is that they're ambiguous, meaning that they can mean different things to different people. Maybe my idea of what is conservative or what a conservative investor is completely different from what your idea of conservative is. Maybe my idea of conservative is only losing 10% in a down market, while your idea is only losing maybe 5%. We need to speak the same language. And what's the universal language out there, of course, that everyone understands? Math. So to calculate a risk tolerance, as I just mentioned before, we have tools that we have access to determine what your risk tolerance is down to the exact number, scaling it from 1 to 100 to tell you where you sit when it comes to the amount of risk that you're comfortable with. If you're interested in finding out what your risk number is, there's going to be a link to a quick 13-question quiz here in the video that you can take. And even if you have taken one of these in the past, it's still good. It's still a good exercise to do every so often to either confirm or reconfirm your risk tolerance to where you think it is, or to see if it's changed with time. Because no matter what your risk tolerance is today, no matter what it is today, it could change or it will change as years go by. Our risk tolerances are not always going to be the same throughout our lives. In conclusion, just know that we are here for you at Montgomery Financial if you're feeling uneasy about our current economic state, or if you have any questions about your investments, income plan, or want to discuss the amount of risk that you have in your portfolio. As a reminder, don't forget to review your expenses with our budgeting and expense sheet. And if you want to take our risk questionnaire, we will have a link to that as well down below. I hope you all have had a great day and continue to have a great day. And until next time, this was Nick Craven with Montgomery Financial with a quick little mini coaching class for you. Thank you.